Well, welcome back to another evening of racing here at Syndicate Motorsport. I'm Pirate Lazebeam and I'll be resuming my commentary duties here on our Saturday League course with the LMP2 League and this week at Spa. And gotta say, Spa is one of my favourite circuits, and I think that combined with LMP2s will make for some very fun racing. Looks like we've got about 12 drivers attending the race tonight, which is a little bit light compared to where we should be with the sign-ups we have for the league, but there you go. And we have just got to the end of the qualifying session. As you can see, Akashik has qualified on pole with a 201.030, followed by Binding with a 201.249, and then Forrest McCormack in third place with a 201.497. Andrew in fourth place, followed by Nine and Neo. And then we've got Ahmad Zawa, Raphael, Miles and Erdi. Hansa Faust and Box are also on the grid, but don't seem to be connected to the server right now. Hopefully they'll jump back in. And we'll be off to the races momentarily for what is going to be 1 hour of action-filled racing here at Spa. So qualifying is now officially over, and we'll be just ticking over to the race session in a few time. Hey, Clock K-Vals. We could actually add one for the LMP2 League, Viles. At the moment it just rotates between our logo and then the CMRT Complete HUD one is just part of the default package. I don't know if you can remove that or not. But yeah, thanks for the suggestion of using the broadcast CMRT package. It does seem quite nice. You just enable one app and it does everything else for you, which is pretty handy. Though is that this thing at the bottom right just appears whenever you click on a car, and it's automatically done all the graphics and things, which is quite cool. Anyway, let's get ready to race here. Yeah, good luck everyone, have fun. So we have tried to update the ballast. Unfortunately, it slipped through our radar to update it between the rounds. We had the THR 12 hours last weekend, and that threw us off a little bit, but hopefully it's been updated. I don't think it's going to make a huge amount of difference, even if it hasn't for this particular round, but we'll definitely get that sorted out for the following round. But the moderator team has been exceptionally busy with a lot of planning, so please bear with us. Anyway, lights are up, engines are revving, and away we go. Actually got to a pretty solid start there, but in the background it looks like Andrew making some early ground against his teammate Binding as they come up to first corner. Just realised I've started in an entirely different part of the circuit to where I'm used to them starting, but it does make sure you have to do that first E1. And here's Forrest McCormack putting some pressure on his teammates already, with Akshik feeling a little bit of pressure from Forrest McCormack. In the background you get Binding and Andrew, P3 and 4 respectively, both teammates of course with their matching liveries, and Binding thinking about putting some pressure there on Akshik, but thinks twice. A little bit further back you've got Neo and Ahmed. Neo of course with a very fancy livery, which I believe Zaddy has done. And here we go, through the fast sweeping left-hander. Of course not much of an issue for an LMP2 car, but can be a little bit trickier in the GT3s. McCormack opening up a little bit of a gap already. Not sure what the timing board's saying. It's saying plus 77 seconds. Actually 0.73 behind. Currently showing pit stops, which of course is 0, but that might change by the end of the race, given it's a 1-hour race and accelerated tyre wear and fuel consumption is on. It does look like Akshik is struggling a little bit with pressure from Binding. Binding almost trying to go round the outside, but will maybe challenge into the braking zone for the bus stop. And that concludes lap number 1. Forrest McCormack with the 1:53.643, fastest of the race of course, with it being the opening lap. And then up through Eau Rouge, climbing the hill, up to the corner which always caught me out when I was racing more regularly. This is my white whale corner. In a GT3 you need to really attack this quite hard and it would invariably spin me out. And Forrest McCormack starting to open a gap. That's interesting. Behind the leader is not particularly working. I'll go ahead and just quickly disable that. Apparently you can't. Looks like Akshik is opening up a little bit of a gap here to Binding, and that is giving Akshik a little bit more breathing room here. Forrest McCormack still breaking away, and here we have Binding. Saying here that Binding qualified 11th and has gained 7 positions. I'm not entirely sure if that's accurate though. I'd be surprised if that was the case. And once again into the bus stop they go. Of course LMP2's lead around Spa really quickly compared to other car classes. Again, behind the leader, not quite making sense given Forrest McCormack is leading the race and showing him 1.4 seconds behind himself right now. Yeah, I think this is all kinds of wrong, because look, it's saying Forrest McCormack's in P2 right now. Who is it thinks in P1? Interesting. Have to dig into that afterwards. And also, it's pretty sure it's got the starting positions entirely wrong, because Forrest McCormack did not qualify. In saying actually qualified 10th, but he actually started in first. So we'll have to dig into the settings and see if there's anything wrong with the CMRT HUD. Getting its numbers very much in the pickle right now. Brake disc blowing into the heavy braking zone there. Akshik still holding on to P2. And the HUD getting a little bit confused again, but I'm really interested to see who it thinks is leading this race. Let's go ahead and go to the leaderboard and just change that. Let's do with the upset line on the grid, I'm not sure. There we go, now it says Forrest McCormack's in first place. It's finally got itself sorted out. I think removing myself has helped there, but again, the starting position's definitely wrong. But there we go, that's more accurate. So, Akshik, 2 seconds behind the race leader. And it's Andrew, who is now in third place, with Binding having dropped into the pits. And that is unexpected. Average pit time 9.5 seconds. Oh, actually, maybe it's a drive-through. No, it's just a very extended. Oh, so it's using the endurance pits, which is why we've started in a different position. Of course, this is the endurance version of the track, and Binding's just about managed to get himself back to hitbox. There's me in the commentator car. But that's going to definitely hurt Binding's chances here. Further back we've got Akshik and Andrew battling. Let's get on board here with Andrew. As he's on the throttle, hitting 6th gear. No lift at all, and we'll be heading down to the braking zone shortly. Getting a little bit offline there. That will allow Andrew potentially to challenge down into T1. Bit of a touch there between the two. Once again, back on board with Andrew on the bonnet cam. Up through Eau Rouge, no touch of the brakes there at all, or even a lift, which is normal for a car with this much downforce. And now attacking up the hill. Bit of a netcode issue there, but Andrew's on the inside, and that's going to put him in a pretty strong position here coming up over the top of the hill. But Akshik's back through with a daring overtake manoeuvre, and it's going to be wheel to wheel between these two for the next couple of corners, I think. On the onboard view here with Akshik, losing out a little bit of time now. I think he's had a couple of small mistakes here and there, which has allowed Andrew to start breaking away. up to P2, 4 seconds behind our race leader, Forrest McCormack. But pit stops are yet to come. That might change things up a little bit. And at the moment, Akashik starting to lose a little bit of time here to Andrew. Half a second behind at this stage. Go to the onboard view from Akashik's point of view. In the bus stop. Of course, right down to sub 100 kilometers an hour as the cars navigate the tight corners. And then it's a straight shot down to the beginning right-hander here. Really important to nail this corner if you want a strong launch up the hill, and I think both Akashik and Andrew do a good job of navigating through there, and pretty straightforward. Thank you, clock. Yeah, it's new CMRT HUD. It's actually really good. And now Akashik putting some pressure onto Andrew as they climb the hill, side by side. Oh, against a little bit of a bump between the two once again. Back on board with Akashik, and the battle is certainly not over yet. Neo starting to get a little bit closer to these two as the battling slows them down, and that's going to mean good things for Forrest McCormack, who's going to be able to extend their lead. Neo on the other hand, able to edge a little bit closer now. And talking about clean, let's take a look at the livery from the onboard point of view. You see very detailed livery here for Neo. Up ahead you've got Akashik and Andrew continuing the fray as they close in towards the final stages of this lap. 202.441 last lap there for Forrest McCormack. Meanwhile, Andrew and Akashik in the 203s, and you can see that Neo is actually beating Akashik on the last lap. Let's go ahead to our two at the front because they are going side by side again. Contact between these two as they come down to the bus stop. And Andrew getting rear-ended now by Akashik, getting turned around. That's not ideal. Have to rejoin from pretty much the back now, or midfield, 6th position. That might result in a ticket. Again, not normal to see two drivers making contact in straight lines, but that's the 3rd or 4th time we've seen that between Akashik and Andrew. Not the driver standards we're looking for. That has allowed Neo to get to P2 on the other hand. And Akashik down to P3 with Viles in P4. Almost losing the rear end there just for a split second. And Akashik now in a position to challenge. Akashik still trailing a little bit behind Neo, 0.6 of a second separating these two as they approach the 3rd sector, and Akashik definitely slightly off their pace here. They were struggling a little bit to keep up with Forrest McCormack, now about 8 seconds behind, and Neo here giving Akashik a good run for his money as well. Also the unfortunate incident between Andrew and Akashik. Just realised the AC audio was a little bit high there, so just decreased the audio for the AC channel. Okay, so Akashik back on track now to the exert a little bit of pressure against Neo. But he is still 0.6 of a second behind, so he's going to have to try and use a slipstream up the hill here. But I think that only really kicks in from about 0.4 of a second, so he's a bit far back at the moment. You have to be raw talent to bring Akshik a little bit closer to Neo. But at the moment, the opposite seems to be happening, 0.7 of a second. That's going the wrong way. That's actually one of the other drivers, that's Erdi, getting lapped now by the looks of it. Teammates with Neo, of course, driving the same livery. Might be an opportunity for Akshik to gain a little bit of ground, but has a 0.7 second gap to clear. Neo going slightly wide there, it might be an opportunity for Akshik here. Edging in closer, of course deceptive in the corners because difference of acceleration, deceleration, that bunches you up in the corner. And of course Neo gets to put his foot down that little bit earlier. Now Neo closing in on Erdi, his teammate, as they come up towards the final sector. Ooh, and Erdi just getting out of the way there, under blue flags. Ooh, Neo gets a little bit over-rotated there, that's going to make things a little bit easier for Akshik. Akshik will be smelling blood, but of course Neo goes defensive into the first corner. And Akshik is getting closer, but this isn't the place you overtake at Spa, not on the way down to Eau Rouge, and I think Akshik knows that. He's just lifted off a slight amount there just to allow Neo to go through first, and if he can, he will attack going up the hill, and ooh, a bit of a netcode issue there. Now the two of them battling their way up towards the top of the hill. Neo having a sniff down the right hand side, but decides against it. Ooh, Akshik gets over-rotated though, manages to save it, which is very well done. And puts Neo back into P2, Akshik in P3. And a little bit more work for Akshik to do here, I feel. So in the background you've got Viles, Ahmad Sawa and Andrew starting to gain a little bit of ground here. Andrew's still 6 seconds behind P5, but Andrew's a very quick driver, so he should be able to overcome that in due course. There's 42 minutes left in the race, so plenty of time. And the pit stops have yet to start. The pit window will be open now, but most drivers will typically go for a half race distance, if not further, before executing their pit stop strategy. So Akshik through the first corner there, closing in on Neo, but still a little bit further behind than probably where he wants to be. And that looks to be about a 0.6 second gap, if I'm not mistaken. Coming up Eau Rouge. And Akshik climbing the hill. Yeah, about 0.6 of a second between those two. Just coming over the top of the hill now, heading to the downhill section, and Akshik still hanging on to Neo here, but not really making a large amount of ground just yet. I think he'll be waiting for a mistake from from Neo if one is presented, but as we saw last time, it was Akashik who gave Neo the benefit of a mistake and allowed Neo to get back into that P2 spot. Meanwhile, Forrest and Cormac up in the front there with an 11.5 second gap. So pretty comfortable position for Forrest at the moment. I think Forrest will be pretty safe territory at the moment. If he can maintain this through the pit stops, then he should be in a pretty solid position for the remainder of the race. As long as there is no mistakes on his part, which I'm sure he'll be fine. But Akashik here, just closing in. And getting caught on the curbs a little bit, which can unsettle these cars, but seems to have shaved off a tenth or two. And again, Akashik right behind now. Every time it looks like it's right on top of on Neo, Akashik is actually still a little bit further back, bunching up in the corners. And again, climbing the hill here, no slipstream opportunity for Akashik, because I think for these cars specifically, the slipstream doesn't really kick in until you're about 0.4 or closer. So Akashik does have a little bit of work to do here. Last lap 2:02.746 for Akashik. And meanwhile, Neo on a 2:02.743. So pretty even Stevens between the two of them there. Just 3 milliseconds in it. And you can see now Akashik is actually getting a little bit closer, putting a bit of pressure onto Neo, which will undoubtedly unsettle Neo, but Akashik has to keep the consistency here. Let's see if Neo makes the same mistake he normally makes here, which is overextending just a touch, and manages to keep it much more tidy this time, which is good news for Neo. Doesn't leave an opportunity there for Akashik. Oh, Akashik late on the brakes. Goes deep, but manages to keep it on the track. Let's see what we have in store for us in the next few minutes of racing here. The battle between Akashik and Neo is far from over. Here's Akashik on the outside. Gets on through. Will Neo have an opportunity in the bus stop? Ooh, and it's a double spin for both drivers as Akashik attempts to get back in the right direction. Falls off to the side. Here comes Andrew, who of course was victim to a little bit of a turnaround incident as well. Now Andrew's got a chance to get back into the fray between Neo and Akashik here, and starts to muscle his way through. And it's a double overtake for Andrew, assuming P4. Meanwhile, Akashik and Neo dropping down to P5 and 6 respectively, with Ahmad Sawa now on the podium in P3. And here we have Akashik and Andrew going toe-to-toe once again as they climb the hill. Hopefully, cleaner driving between these two. Again, a little bit of contact between those two. Neither one looking to give any quarter. Flash of lights from Akashik there. Going to the onboard view here with Akashik. Overextends a little bit. Andrew keeping it very clean inside the white lines. Actually going a little bit deep there, causing a bit of overextension, but nothing too substantial. Andrew starting to break away a little bit, as we saw previously. Andrew fighting back from P6 now to P4, which is good news for Andrew's race. Bad news for Akashik and Neo on the other hand. So Forrest McCormack, 12 laps on the current tyre compound, but no pit stop as yet for Forrest McCormack. Here's Akshik coming in for the first of the pit stops. And you can see it's a long pit entry because of the fact you're having to drive through the first set of pits, which is the, I guess, the GP pits, all the way through to the endurance pits, which are just around the corner, which is typically the lap exit or the pit exit on a normal version of Spa. Oh, that is quite a tight corner. That caught Binding out previously as well. Hey Kyla, good to see you. Yes, the new CMRT broadcast hub, so quite pleased with this. It's actually a very nice bit of kit. But I hope you're doing well. Good to see you again. So, Forrest McCormack leading this race solidly now for the first half an hour. Last lap 2:02.428, so not only leading the race but also leading the last lap time by a good margin. And when it gets onto the best lap times, I'm sure we'll see that Forrest McCormack is either winning that as well or contending for it. And at the moment, Forrest McCormack is a good 12 or so seconds ahead of our P2 position, which is Viles. I think Andrew Neo have slipped a bit further back. Akshik's in the pits, and that leaves Viles out in P2. Of course, one pit stop to go, and Ahmad Sawa in P3 for the time being. Ooh, on a date. You tell. So there we go, Viles 18 and 18.26 seconds behind Forrest McCormack. So Forrest McCormack's lead is very substantial at this point. Ahmad Sawa about 1 second behind Viles at this point. Let's see if Viles is going to be coming in for the pit stop. Nope, not yet. And I think the same goes for Ahmad, who decides to stay out as well. Forrest McCormack also, sorry, Andrew Shaw also not pitting. But a few seconds behind. I think Neo, though, has gone in. Let's see if Neo can navigate the tricky corner at the end of the first of the two pit stops, pit lanes. Chocolate Museum. Sounds delicious. Oh, this corner's caught out Binding and Akshik, and ooh, Neo manages to get around there no problem at all. It's very tight though. So with Viles in P2, Ahmad Sawa has closed to almost 0.5 of a second a few seconds ago, but now down to 0.8. And let's see whether Ahmad can do anything here to close this gap a little bit more. Got Binding 0.5 of a second behind 9 down here in P7. Let's see what Mr. Binding can do. Binding got caught out earlier on in the race and spun around. Actually no, sorry, I stand corrected. Binding had to go into the pits for some reason, as we've just seen 9 do. It seems that, as I predicted, most drivers are going for that half race distance strategy with the pit stops. So Akshik is now in P6, but will be overtaking a few people when they come in for their pit stops. It'll be there's Neo coming out, I think, right behind Akshik. The question is going to be, when is Viles going to pit, because he's just coming through once again, and Andrew, Ahmed and Viles all staying out on their current fuel and tyre compound. And you have to think about this not only in terms of how long can you drive on the tyre compound for, but it's whether you're going to save any time by taking a lower fuel amount for the first stint and then second stint, or do you want to try and push as much as you possibly can in the first stint, even if you are going to be losing a little bit of time due to carrying that heavier fuel. That heavier fuel will also wear the tyres out a bit quicker. So it's all about finding that balance between the first and second stint and seeing how you can maximise the benefits of the pit stop. Oh, sorry, forgetting to enable the thing that allows helicam, so give me 2 seconds. And it was helicam that you enabled, so let me just go ahead and redo that for you. So Forrest McCormack staying out, despite being out for quite a long time on his current tyres and fuel. Viles will be next up towards the bus stop. Let's see whether Viles comes in for that pit stop or not. 2:03.382 on the last lap. No pit stop for Viles. And Ahmed takes the same strategy. Andrew coming in. Let's see if Andrew has any luck with that corner. And Andrew manages to get through there without too much issue. Let's go back to Viles and Ahmed and see whether we have a battle forming here. They are still a little bit too far apart to call it a battle, but they are the closest on track. Let's stick with these two. Of course, Ahmed in the Rebellion Racing livery here, and Viles in his own livery that he acquired via Fiverr, I believe it was. Only 7 minutes left on the clock. Once again, heading down to the bus stop. Let's see whether we've got any pit stops coming up. Still, these two staying out. Going to be pushing it as far as I can. Meanwhile, Andrew has exited the pits. See, the board's got itself confused with time behind the race leader now. So, only 26 minutes to go, and Andrew has a bit of work to do here to catch up. Meanwhile, Viles and Ahmed are two closest on track, and Ahmed seems to be gaining a little bit of ground here relative to Viles, eating away a little bit at the lead that Viles has got. At the same time, it's just nibbling rather than taking big bites, and Ahmed's consistent, but needs to do a little bit more to catch up with Viles. Again, as soon as Ahmed and Viles pit, it's going to mean that Akashik and Andrew will likely be able to catch up here and assume P3 and 4 respectively. Oh, sorry, 2 and 3 respectively. But it all depends on when Viles and Ahmed come in for their pit stops. would have thought that's going to be at least in the next lap or the lap after that. I don't think they can push it much further than that, because tyres and fuel must be getting to a point where they're compromising their lap times. Although 2:03.322 for the last lap isn't that bad. Forrest McCormack on a 2:01.974, so you can see there's a bit of a difference there. Andrew on fresh tyres is doing a 3:10, that's the out lap. Actually got a 2:02.295, so actually they are probably losing about a second a lap right now. And that's only really going to be helping Andrew at this stage, but let's see what happens. They might have one more lap on these tyres, they might go around again. This time Ahmed now starting to put some pressure on Viles, attacking as they head down to the top of the hill, and it's a nice clean overtake for Ahmed, but Viles is still here and fighting back. The overtake was very short-lived for Ahmed there. There we go, Viles and Ahmed staying out, despite being the two on the track who have pushed the longest on their current tyres. But they seem determined to extend as much as they possibly can. Everyone on the medium compound. I think that's the only compound available potentially. There we go, tyre 8, 18 laps for Forrest McCormack, Viles and Ahmed. They've all stayed out much longer than everyone else has. Doing a little bleep every now and then, not entirely sure what that refers to. Now Ahmed falling a little bit further behind Viles as Viles starts to open up a bit of a gap. Forrest McCormack heading down towards the bus. Let's see whether Forrest McCormack is going to be coming in for that pit stop or not. The last lap was a 2:01.918 for Forrest McCormack, so apparently they're doing something right in the car. They're only binding going quicker with a 2:01.557 and bindings on younger tyres. But Forrest McCormack very consistent here. Meanwhile, Viles and Ahmed coming in. Will they pit? No. But Ahmed does, by the looks of it. And that breaks up the party between Ahmed and Viles, at least for now, until Viles pits in a few minutes. Let's see if Ahmed can crack this corner as well. Sneaks up on you a little bit there, but it's how tight it is. So Ahmed in the pits. That will likely allow Andrew to gain some ground here. Especially with the length of the pit lane, it does take a while to get through there. Even just getting to the pit box, and then of course you're in the pit box for a while. So I think Andrew is going to be in in good shape here to grab an overtake. There's 20 minutes left on the race. So Ahmed's got the last box actually, so as soon as he goes, he'll be hitting Eau Rouge, and that means Andrew has to get round this corner and up the hill, and here comes Ahmed, so it's going to be very close. Of course, Andrew's going to come out at basically full chat. But it's too big a gap, I think. I think Andrew is going to be close, but there's not going to be any cigar because it's still 2 seconds between the two of them. And whilst that allowed Andrew to gain about 70 seconds of time, Andrew's going to have to do the last 2 seconds through sheer driving willpower. Ahmed is 1.2 seconds ahead. And fresh tyres as well. Of course the tyres probably won't be at temperature yet unless they have tyre blankets, but Andrew has got a second to close and 20 or 18.5 minutes to do it. So here we go, Viles and Forrest McCormack are in the pits now. So the question is going to be, will Ahmed be able to get past before our race leader comes out? And I don't think that's going to be the case because Forrest McCormack is already leaving the pit lane. And Viles won't be too much further behind as well. There's 9 leaving the Rouge corner. Forrest McCormack resumes his first spot, and then here comes Viles. Ahmed just coming round T1, whilst Viles is already climbing out the top of the pit. So I think Viles is in pretty good shape here. The remaining 17 minutes of the race to go. Meanwhile, Andrew starting to edge closer to Ahmed ahead. So Andrew, despite being a very quick driver, is struggling to keep up with Ahmed. That might be due to ballast. Approaching the last 15 minutes of the race, and Andrew's got a chance at a podium here with the pit stops all being said and done. It's just this last car to overtake, but Ahmed is not going to make this easy by the looks of it. Oh, I say that, but oh, Ahmed just disappeared from the leaderboard for a second, but he's back, thankfully. That's interesting. It's saying that Andrew hasn't pitted yet, but Forest, but they have. As has everyone else. Interesting. So the HUD has some issues, I would believe. Coming up Eau Rouge, Andrew looks to be over a second behind Ahmed at this stage. Although best lap time there, Forrest McCormack 1:53.643. So quite considerably faster than 2:01s which are being put down earlier on. Rolling onto the throttle. In the background you can see Akashik. 4th place for now. Again, a testament to Andrew's driving to end up down in 6th place beginning of this race and be back on the podium by the end of it. Still Andrew struggling here to make any significant inroads into Ahmed's lead. So Andrew, ever present in the rearview mirror of Ahmed, but still struggling to just get that little bit closer. And once again up the hill, 13 minutes left on the clock. Let's see whether Andrew has got the skill to close this gap before the end of the race. Of course, it's a podium finish either way, but I'm sure Andrew wouldn't say no to the extra points. Looking at the championship standings at the moment, including the drop round, it's Forrest McCormack on 95 points, Akashik in P2 on 89 points, Eric Axelson on 3rd place with 86 points, Andrew's 4th with 84, but I believe Eric's going to miss the next 2 rounds, including this one. Biles is 5th place, so going to be potentially dropping down a little bit because Ahmed is in 6th place and only 2 points behind Biles, so it looks like Ahmed's might be moving up a little bit. Bindings in P7 overall, Neo in P8, and that means that Akashik is likely going to end up below Andrew potentially in the standings. There's going to be a bit of a reshuffle, and Eric's going to drop a few positions as well due to missing this round and the next one. So on board with Andrew here. You see how tantalisingly close Ahmed is, but again, not close enough to Slipstream. So it's really just going to be driver skill which is making the difference here, and the last lap for Andrew was... can't quite see it from here, I'll have to wait for it to switch over. Yeah, so 2:02.028 for Andrew and 2:02.309. Ooh! There's a mistake from Ahmed that Andrew's been waiting for, and that's allowed Andrew to sneak on through. Akashik now closing in on Ahmed as well. There might be a three-way battle developing here. Akashik in 4th place here. And there's that beep. I wonder what that corresponds to. Oh, it could be someone going into the pits, because 9's in the pits. Interesting. So that red livery is very nice. Simple, but equally nice. So, Akshik has a chance at the podium here. 9 more minutes to do it. And Andrew's just a little bit further ahead, but one small mistake for Andrew would be enough to potentially upset the balance here. So tyre age, 24 laps. I mean, that's definitely not correct, because I think they've all changed their tyres at least once. Actually, I don't know actually, because tyre wear is being accelerated, but I think it hasn't actually accelerated the tyre wear. What I mean by that is the tyre wear by default is very, very slow wearing on these cars, so by accelerating it, it pretty much brings it back to a normal level of tyre wear, whereas the fuel is a different question. So maybe the pit stops here are just primarily fuel stops rather than tyre swaps. They're going very wide there. .201.887 for Forrest McCormack. Again, Binding doing very nicely here with a 201.997 of his own, and the only other driver other than Forrest McCormack to be in that kind of territory. But unfortunately, a bit further down the standings is Binding. Now 3 contenders for the podium here. Ahmed getting a little bit squirrely off the mark there, it seems, but Akshik unable to gain too significantly at this stage. So 1.6 seconds separating Ahmed from Andrew. Akshik only 1 second behind Ahmed. Again, too far for the slipstream. Let's see whether Akshik can edge a little bit closer on the back of these next few laps. Now that kind of stuff isn't going to help. Actually, Ahmed getting closer to Andrew. Akshik back to 1.25 seconds behind. So Ahmed is actually getting a little bit closer to our friend Andrew. And the pressure between these three is starting to heat up there. Akshik actually gaining a little bit of time there in the bus stop compared to Ahmed. Save that 1.25 seconds down to 0.75. Let's head up to Eau Rouge. Pressure building now as all three drivers start to get a little bit closer together. It's Akashik here who has got the most to gain by finishing on the podium if he can secure an overtake. Between Andrew and Ahmed, it's really just a matter of where on the podium you finish. But Akashik is starting to get a little bit closer. Ahmed equally almost within slipstream distance. Goes slightly wide, but is getting tantalisingly close now to Andrew. Imagine Andrew's carrying more ballast, so will be making a difference. There's only 3 minutes and 52 seconds left on this race clock, and Ahmed is really piling on the pressure now. .27, hardly anything in it, and we're almost edging towards the last lap of this race. And it's really interesting to see where this is going to finish up, because we've got three drivers here, all pushing hard, and they are very close together. Akashik at the back of this little train, P4. Only 0.4 of a second behind Ahmed. That's close enough for Slipstream. So there's an opportunity here for Akashik to ride the Slipstream train all the way to the top of the hill. Will Ahmed go defensive? No. Allows Akashik to slingshot a little bit, but not quite late enough. And Akashik back down to P4. We are really talking about kind of 2 more laps to go, including this one. So it's really going to come down to what happens in the next few minutes. And the pit stop data entirely inaccurate by the looks of it. Akashik making a fatal mistake there. So someone's coming into the pits, I imagine. Oh, I'm not sure what the beep means. It could be the race leader going over the start-finish line. I'm not entirely sure. So Akashik's dropped a little bit too far back, I think, to contend now. Unless the two in front make a mistake. They're saying that. Absolutely flying bus stop there for Akashik. Don't know how he managed to get through there so quickly, but he is right on Ahmed's tail, switching back and forth as he goes for the line down to the first corner here. Forcing his way through. Slight potential contact there, pushing Ahmed off the track. But Akashik is on the podium for the time being. Andrew a little bit too far ahead for Akashik to deal with. But I think Ahmed there just losing out, potentially through contact, which would be unfortunate if it was the case. I believe Forrest McCormack has finished this race in first place. Or is about to. It has done. Erdy isn't in P2 leaderboard, but it'll be Andrew. Now we have Andrew, followed by Akshik and Ahmed in P4. Here's the race leader, Forrest McCormack, having finished the race without any doubt from the beginning in the top spot. And Akshik's arrived, so I'm going to bring him in.
Good evening.
Hello Akshik, how are you doing?
Doing quite well, doing quite well. It was a very funny race, but should have been P2 in the end.
Yeah, so tell me, kind of a bit of a fight at the end there for the position on the podium. Was there a little bit of contact with Ahmad as you went through the technically T1 of the normal circuit?
I did see that he went into the gravel. I didn't feel any contact on my end. There was no damage indicator or anything, and I did see that on my radar he was still marked yellow, not red. So I assume, gonna have to rewatch it of course, that he just lost it on acceleration, trying to get as much out of the car as possible.
Okay, yeah. I couldn't quite tell from where I was sitting.
Well, you enjoyed it.
Very good. So, how is the endurance circuit different to the normal Spa GP circuit? Because I can see you're using different pits, but are there any other differences? It seems to be identical.
This specific version is a newest layout. You could see that, for example, going to the two left-handers, the corner before, has two layouts. The usual one that everyone drives, and one more to the left. And that is for motorcycles, for example, or sometimes on track days. Besides that, Eau Rouge, the new version, is slightly wider, so you have to go a little bit slower. It's still flat out for us, but other cars have to slow down a little bit more.
Ah, interesting. Okay, and that's as a result of the crash that was there a year or two ago.
I think there were multiple crashes that over time just accumulated, like Formula W back then, F1 over time, GT, everything crashed there. Yeah,
of course, it's one of like the sacred corners in motorsports. Like, I guess they couldn't change it too much.
Yeah, exactly. But I think they did a pretty good job.
Very good. Well, congratulations on the strong finish. I think that's going to help you in your overall standings in the championship. You're currently running P2 behind Forrest McCormack, and Eric isn't going to be here for this round or next round, so I don't think it's calculated the results just yet, but should be a pretty strong finish.
Is Eric going to miss the next round as well? I thought he only missed a Spa.
Ooh, okay, well maybe this is the second one he's missing, but in that case that might mean that there's a chance for him to fight back, but yes, at least today I think, and last round I think he was here last round, wasn't he? Definitely,
I think he was, but I think it did or something like that. I don't quite remember.
That might be the Wednesday one.
Today.
Yeah. But yeah, so he definitely wasn't here today, unfortunately. But yeah, so you're currently P2. I think it's going to take a little second for it to update the championship with the new results. But you are still in the running for the championship lead, I think. Although you'll have to do something about Forrest McCormack's dominance.
I can invite into some burritos and put something in them. But no, mostly I'm just focused on the team championship, especially against Banding and Andrew. Banding had some mishaps today. If he interviews you, or if you interview him, be prepared. It's gonna be very funny.
Well, I've only got time, unfortunately, for podium finishes, so he'll have to save his, I assume, rage for another time.
His display, his HDMI connector disconnected and
Oh.
going into your right wheel corner. He just went straight because he couldn't see anything.
Ah,
And,
okay, that
broke the
explains it.
front wing and had a bit.
Right, okay.
But he had a good pace. He was in a 2:01. He could have won the race.
Yeah, I saw his pace later on was incredible. It was the only person keeping pace with the 201s that Forrest McCormack was putting down. But okay, cool. Well, I mean, good luck for the remainder of the championship, actually.
I was setting 2:01s as well.
Ah,
Just
okay.
letting you know.
Not when I was looking, but okay. I'll take your word for
I
it.
see how it is.
All right, actually, thank you for your time as always, and congratulations again. And I will catch you on the next one.
Yeah, my pleasure. See you soon.
See you in a bit. Mr. Pixel.
Yes. Not while I was looking was diabolical, by the way.
I mean, technically accurate, but but there we go. So another strong finish for you here, Forrest McCormack. Tell me about the kind of the combination. Is it a strong track car combination for you, or are you just locked in for in the zone today?
I feel like my race could be characterized as you know that meme template where there's like the toy plane flying away from the carnage and the explosion. I feel like that was my race. Yeah, I only really found the rhythm in the second half of the race, and I think the pace improved a little bit there. Spa is a bit of a hit and miss track for me, and I had to drive the car very different here than I normally do. Like I like to. I tend to find pace in this car by really rotating the rear quite aggressively on entry. That does not work here. You really have to drive within the limitations of the rear end. Really kind of underdrive the car, which is not. It's not typically the way I've been extracting pace from this car. So it took a bit of getting used to on that side of things and really understanding the setup compromises to make that work. But it worked. I found the base in the end, so here we are.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be quite dominant, and you heard it here first, ladies. On Valentine's Day of all days, Pixel is aggressively rotating the rear. So sign up now.
Oh, I am to please.
So when is your next trip to Germany?
I haven't planned it yet, but you know what, mate? Love finds a way.
It does, it does. Well, you know, from the THR 12 hours, there was talk of the Sim Racing Expo in Dusseldorf, so maybe we need to get a Syndicate trip out there at some point.
Perhaps.
But yeah, so back to the topic at hand. Your championship looks to be in safe position. You have you went into the race today on 95 points. I think you're still very much on the top spot, and with Eric not being in the mix, your main competition is your own teammates. So I think things are looking pretty solid for you guys, both as a team and individually. Looking at what's coming up next in the championship, then, do you have any kind of strong tracks coming up, or any ones which you're particularly dreading? I mean, it's going to be Le Mans for the next one, Silverstone, and then Yas Marina.
I mean, I wouldn't say that any of them are especially weak tracks for me, but certainly none of them would be kind of tracks that I would typically look at and say, yeah, this is my weekend.
I think you and I share a similar view of Silverstone, don't we?
Overrated, as all hell, mate. I don't have me. I don't care. Yeah, I'm honestly not that fond of Silverstone. It's okay, but it's not my favorite. I'm just glad that I've been able to have a good run up to now, so I don't have to I don't have to extract the maximum result from the next races. I think I've done enough to kind of set myself up to where I don't have to have absolute pressure on myself.
You mean you haven't peaked in
it's not-
pre-season like you have in previous leagues?
Oh, please no, man.
Just adding salt to the wound.
Oh, it's still too soon, mate. It's too soon.
Ah, lovely.
Oh,
And on that note, well, thank
I
you,
hope you
Pixel,
feel
for your
like-
time, and hopefully I'll see you here in the coming rounds. There's 3 more rounds to go, so plenty of time left for some action on the track. But another solid race, mates, and you can enjoy the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
And I'll catch you later.
Yeah, see you, mate. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Well, there we go, everyone. Thank you very much for being part of the racing today, whether you've been on track in the commentary box, well, that was just me, or in Twitch chats. A pleasure as always, and thank you to all the drivers, of course, for attending, and a big shout out to the moderators who put so much effort into organising everything here at Syndicate Motorsport. So big thank you to you all, and we'll be catching up next weekend for the next round at Le Mans. Have a good rest of the weekend.